I'm gonna be live and I need to quickly go on my Instagram and post about it here so that people will tune in. There it is. Hello and welcome again. If you were here just a moment ago, you know that I had already started my video and then my Wi-Fi signal went out. And so then it ended my stream, which is okay because it allowed me to go refill my coffee mug. This is cup number 4 for the day, as well as it has let me just run and do a couple quick things before I came back and get ready to post on Instagram. All fun things. Um, how are you doing? Welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. That's when you live on YouTube. Oh man. All right. Well, welcome back. If you were here before, you know that I have been answering random questions from my sombrero, as well as I've been coloring this wonderful Triceratops picture. And if you would like to go ahead and color pictures and you want to send them here so I can post them on my bulletin board, you can send them to Advent Lutheran Church in Mill Creek, Washington, and I will gladly post them here. If you have random questions that you would like to ask me, you can go ahead and do so in the live chat, and I will answer them as I see them. If not, I'm just glad you were here. I hope you were enjoying your day. Right now in Mill Creek, it's a beautiful day. It wasn't about 3 hours ago. It was downpouring rain, as I was saying before, and I was impressed by the couple of folks that were out working in our community garden, just trying to get everything ready for planting new food for the food bank this year. But they were out there gung-ho and, keeping their physical distance from each other, but trying to make sure that we're able to give fresh vegetables and fruits to a couple of the food banks in the area, which is so wonderful and a great way for us to connect with our own community. So with that, let's go ahead and answer a couple questions before I continue to color. All right, here we go. Which pop artist do you secretly wish you could be? I don't know if he's technically a pop artist, but part of me wishes that I could be Ed Sheeran. Like, his songs are just, they're a little weird sometimes. Let me rephrase that. His music videos are weird. But I really like his music. It's very, it's just very good vibes. Once again, I don't know if he's a pop artist. I would also just love to be a part of the Zac Brown band because they just seem like they're having a ton of fun when they're on stage together or just even within their music. And it would be just so much fun to be collaborating with them on all things music. That'd be just fun. Next question. What makes you anxious? One thing that makes me anxious within my job, just as a youth minister, or just in general, is when I'm preparing for large events, and basically the 3 or 4 hours before the event happens. That is what makes me most anxious, because all of a sudden I'm trying to recheck all the boxes that I've probably already checked, and making sure that everything is ready to go. And in that moment, all of a sudden I get super nervous that somehow I missed a checkbox on my to-do list. And so I just find myself in this anxious mode of wanting to be ready and wanting to be prepared. The other thing that makes me really anxious right now is getting ready for my wife and I's first kid. I've never had my own baby. I've watched other babies. I have seen other babies, and that's really exciting, but they're not my own. And so that is something that's making me very anxious, is just getting ready and being like, I told her it was probably about a month or so ago, I woke up in this slight nightmare of what if my kid doesn't like me? And that made me really anxious because, you want to do everything in your power as the parent to, take care of your child and make sure they're getting all the love and the comfort that they need. But But what if it's not enough? And that's something you always worry about. So that's definitely something that makes me anxious also. All right, another question as I keep coloring these leaves purple. What's your opinion on fate? That's a tough one. My opinion on fate. I believe that we are prepared for all things, yet I don't think that things are always fate. I think things happen for a variant amount of reasons that the universe has caused us to be in a specific place at a specific time. I don't know if that's specifically fate or if it's just the way that the choices that we made have led us down specific paths. Yet, I've always wondered if there would be like another universe where like I made the decision but the other way, and how much different that looks. Who knows? I don't know. Always an interesting thought. Unless time travel is like in the Harry Potter universe where things have already happened, even though you don't remember you being the one that made that thing happen in the first place, like Hermione throwing the stone at Harry inside Hagrid's hut. I always thought that that was a very different take on what it would look like. But I also really enjoy the take on time travel in the old Fox show Fringe, which showed it truly makes different universes based on the amount of decisions that you make. And so it's all cause and causality, and well, because you decide to walk in this room as opposed to not walking in this room, now all of a sudden that entirely changes the rest of the course of life. One of the movies that I've always wanted to watch that I haven't is called The Butterfly Effect, which specifically looks on the fact that like if you went back in time and you happened to break a twig or step on an ant that you didn't step on before, that somehow because of that you all of a sudden cause the entire world to change, which is also a very interesting thought on time travel in itself and on fate, because if you're the reason or the causality behind something, why is that? Is it because you were called to do it and you've been like that was your destination the entire time, or is it because we just found ourselves in that specific moment because of the amount of decisions that brought us to that point? All right, another question. If you could visit one planet, which would it be? Well, I would love to visit Pluto just because it's the furthest out planet, even though it's basically just one big rock. And the other one that I would love to go visit is Mars, because they continually believe that there are signs that there is a possibility that maybe at some point there could have been life on Mars, which is an interesting idea, or at least there could have been the right things in place for there to be life on Mars. So that would be an interesting place to visit as well. Now, if we're talking about planets like in Star Trek or in Star Wars, I think if I was in Star Wars, I would have loved to visit. Oh gosh, all the Star Wars fans out there are gonna kick me in the teeth because I cannot remember. Oh no, it's one of the moons of Endor, where all the Ewoks and stuff live. I would love to go visit that planet because there's a lot of trees, and I love being outside, and I love those trees. And while I would hope that I didn't run into Ewoks that wanted to eat me right away, I would love to meet them. They seem like nice folk. Or I would love to go visit the planet where Chewbacca is from, where all the other Wookiees lived, because that seemed like a pretty cool planet to be on. I feel like they always find themselves on desert planets, which deserts are nice and all, but I would prefer to live in a planet that had like lush green forests more than I would a planet with a lot of sand, because sand just gets everywhere and that's no fun. Let's see. Another question. Oh. What's the most ticklish spot on your body? It's probably either my rib cage or my knees. My knees are pretty ticklish. Which foreign language would you like to learn? The foreign language that I would like to actually continue to learn to a point, as I was saying in my earlier video, the one language that I would like to learn to a point where like I was fluent in it and could speak conversationally would definitely be Spanish. With the amount of, oh, hey, that's perfect. That took forever. All right. I feel like there are enough Spanish-speaking countries or countries that use some form of Spanish, or not Spanish, but a Latin-rooted language, such as like Portuguese or Italian or even French, that I would have at least an idea if I was in those countries of what was being said, even though I would definitely have to like also understand those languages. But Spanish would definitely be the one. And I think more conversational Spanish than your formal Spanish that most Spanish teachers teach, at least in the high school level. Let's see. Here we go. Do you have any skeletons in the closet? I have many skeletons in the closet because I love Halloween. And so therefore, that's all the skeletons I keep. There are probably also other skeletons, but those are mine. Which of the 7 wonders of the world do you want to visit the most? I definitely want to visit the pyramids. They're such a massive icon, and just the amount of engineering that went into actually building those is just fascinating. So I would love to visit the pyramids in Egypt. I would also love to see places that have similar ideas of pyramids, like going down to Mexico and to Peru and places like that where similar things can be found, and just seeing all those huge, enormous stone structures that were built by hand would just be a really cool thing to see. I've seen the 8th wonder of the world, which is the Astrodome in Houston, which is very cool, but not as impressive as the actual wonders of the world. What place would you first travel if you could teleport? If I could teleport, what's the first place that I would travel to? Well, at that point, so I think that takes into question then. So if I could teleport, I think obviously I'd start with someplace on Earth, since I don't know what other technology I have at the time. Because I could easily say I would love to teleport to Mars, but then if I land on Mars and I can't breathe the air or anything like that, and I'm not prepared for it, then unfortunately, I'm not going to survive very long. So I think if I could teleport to anywhere, I'd either teleport to Europe, though not right now because physical distancing, or I would want to teleport to like the middle of Yosemite, or to oh gosh, it'd be really cool to like teleport into just some other forest just to go see it, be in the peacefulness of creation, which is super awesome. All right, time for a new color. Purple. Let's see. Let's get some green. Ooh, that's a fun color. It's like a maroony color. Let's see, what could be maroon? What could be maroon? Your horns could be maroon. Maybe. So what are your favorite colors? Obviously, for those who know me, they know that my favorite color truly is teal or turquoise. I just really love, I grew up loving the Mariners, and so I grew up loving the color teal because that was their color. It was my favorite uniform that they wore. I'm glad that they brought it back. Supposedly it might be going away again, which I'd be very sad if it did. But I love the fact that, well, now they call it Northwest Green, which I don't know if anybody really can call any of the greens that we use Northwest Green. Because, like, you technically have the what do they call it? The action green of the Seahawks. You have I don't know if they have a specific name for it, but you have the green of the Sounders, the green of the Seattle Seawolves, the forest green of the Everett Silvertips. There's so much green out there, but I do love the fact that like the Mariners like, no. We're the first one, so we get Northwest green, even though they're not really the first ones. Do you think if dinosaurs could, they would have gotten pedicures? I feel like they would have. At least I feel like T-Rex would have. You know, he always wants to look his best when he goes out. If you had the chance to recreate dinosaurs, just like in Jurassic Park, using dino DNA, which one would you do first? I think I would definitely keep with the herbivores, only because, there's less chance that they're going to eat you, which I think is kind of important. Oh yeah, let's see this color. Go on with the red-orange. Oh no, never mind. This is just red. It looked like red-orange. I would definitely, I think I'd do some sort of vegetarian, whether it was like a brachiosaur, just because they're long necks. Those are pretty fun. Or if it was, I could do like a triceratops. I believe they're herbivores, or maybe omnivores. Are they omnivores? I think they're just herbivores, though. That pen is dead. Score! Ooh. For all you sports fans out there, here's a question for you. Did any of you jokingly watch ESPN The Ocho on Sunday? It was hilarious. For those of you who didn't watch, or for those of you who don't know, ESPN The Ocho is a spoof off of the movie Dodgeball from back in the early 2000s. And ESPN The Ocho is where you could watch the National Dodgeball Tournament. And what I think was so funny is they had the most randomest sports on it. So there was stupid robot fighting. The one that I fully enjoyed and thought was the best was the International Tram Championships. So they had all these different light rail style subway cars that were performing all these different like stunts. So, how close could you get a specific door to a specific spot on a platform, and doing, tram bowling where they would run into a big inflated ball and it would go and hit a bunch of pins and they would see how many pins they could knock down. Or they would try to, they would have one of their fellow engineers specifically position a quote unquote pedestrian on the track or near the track, and you had to be able to squeeze by the pedestrian, which, to be fair, I didn't fully understand because they're on tracks. So like, how does that change things? Like, I mean, if it's on the track, it's gonna the wheels have to follow the track to whichever way it goes. So aren't they all gonna miss it? I don't know. Maybe I misunderstood how it was working. But it was just super funny because they were all just so intense about it. You would have thought that the International Tram Competition was the next event on the International Olympic Committee's, voting platform. Oh, that's good coffee. Yeah, but it was silly. So has anyone else found themselves doing new things during this time? I know that most of us are continuing to try and do work from home, or just do work in general, wherever it's from. Well, now mostly it's from home. Do you find yourself trying to figure out, how do I continue to make routine? The reason why I'm in my office is because the office at our house currently is filled with all of our extra stuff from doing our kitchen and bath remodel. So there's not a lot of space for us to work, but I'm the only one that's in our office here at the church. And so I have my door closed. I washed my hands as I got here, and I have my bottle of hand sanitizer here on my desk. But then, as I leave, I'll go ahead and wash my hands again. And then once I get home, I'll go inside and wash my hands before I do anything else, just as a safety precaution. I'm trying to keep myself healthy. The other thing I also, am doing is making sure that once I get back home, once I leave here, once I leave here, then I'm not stopping anywhere else. I'm literally office, truck, home. Trying to minimize the amount of time that I'm spending in public spaces, and keeping that physical distancing so that I'm keeping all those who are more vulnerable safe. Which, as healthy individuals is sometimes a difficult thing because we, as helpers, we just want to go out and we want to help the other. And yet when they're like, well, you just need to sit in your house and do what you would normally do from there, it seems really weird and really difficult. As I said in my earlier video, mostly because, even as a physical touch person, all I want to do, as I'm caring for folks is, give them hugs and handshakes and high fives and, show them in that moment that they're not alone. But that's okay. Instead, I'm doing it by being on YouTube and, checking in here on the YouTube live stream. This might be really difficult. I was going to try and, so all these little spots on the Triceratops, I was going to try and color in with this big fat marker. But I think this big fat marker is actually going to be too big. So I might need to see if I have a smaller marker. Also, Fitbit's telling me I have 14 steps left to go this hour. I love how with most fitness trackers that it's so funny watching people who are trying to always hit a goal. Like I'll probably do it here in a second. I'm probably going to try to do it right now as I'm sitting here, see if I can get to 14 steps without taking 14 steps because, most of these fitness trackers, really what they're just trying to get you to do is just keep your body more active. Yes, would I actually like you to get up and walk? Of course. I mean, that's the main point. But if you're just trying to, wave your hands and move around and keep your body in a physically active, boom, 14 steps. There it was. Congratulations. Thank you, myself. If you're just taking a time to be more active, that's what's critical. I think with any of those fitness trackers, I think the critical thing is when you buy them or when you get them is like, what's the point? Are you thinking that all of a sudden it's going to make you all of a sudden 300 times healthier, or are you just trying to start a new routine and you're using that as a tool to continue to build on that routine? For me, that's all it is. It's a reminder. I have mine set so that every hour it asks me to walk at least 250 steps, just to remind myself to get up and move, which as somebody with attention deficit disorder, that is super helpful. If you couldn't tell by my random ramblings today, it's super helpful to have that because one of the things that my doctors have told me is it is crucial not only for me to get up and be physically active, but it's also crucial for me to at least have 30 minutes outside. Because what having that 30 minutes outside does is it allows for your brain and for your body's literal internal clock to understand the time of day and also just kind of have a better understanding of how to keep you healthy. So by taking those 30 plus minutes outside, all of a sudden your body realizes it's 3:00 in the afternoon. I need to, start getting ready for, another meal, and I need to start getting ready to help start shutting down so I can sleep and rest and then be ready to go the next day. Which I think is so interesting because, we don't think of it that way. And yet when we get outside, we always feel so relieved, and our bodies are just so excited to have that feeling of vitamin D from the sun and be able to breathe in, even if you're in the middle of the city, that's semi-fresher air than what you're getting from the HVAC system inside your own office or in your own house. And it's just so refreshing for your entire body. Um, and when you live in climates like the ones in Washington that are more temperate, or even I can only imagine how difficult it is for folks to want to be outside in some of those countries and places where, you know, in the middle of February, it's negative 18 degrees outside, and you can't because you don't want your body to freeze in place. Oh, man. Well, we got about 7 more minutes for today's Coffee Wednesday. Couple quick reminders for those of you who know and don't know. I will be here on YouTube live each week from 3 until 4 o'clock, answering random questions from the sombrero, coloring pictures. But you can also check in. I will be posting videos each week. My video took a little bit longer today to edit, so I'm going to be posting here in a moment, talking about what do you think is the proper square footage of a house. I had some interesting thoughts on that, so I hope you will enjoy that later. But I will have different videos each week where I talk about different questions. If you have questions you want to ask me or you want me to answer in one of those videos, you can feel free to leave them in the comment section down below or in the comment section of any of the other videos that you watch. Or you can feel free to email them to me at cyfc@adventlutheran.net. Those are just a couple quick announcements. Also, if you have either a favorite coffee spot somewhere in Everett, Washington, or if you have a favorite coffee that you like to buy and make at home, I would love to know, because I would love to try different coffees on Coffee Wednesday. It only seems like it makes sense. Like I said, for those who were not there for the beginning of the video, today I am literally drinking your average 1950s coffee out of a number 10 can, the good old Euban coffee. Quite delicious. But I'm drinking it out of my really cool Laughing Gnome mug, which I talk about in my video today. You can go to laughinggnome.com to learn all about it. It is from Port Townsend, Washington. I love this mug just because of the way it looks. It is a high temperatured, non-glazed clay mug, and it actually helps to ionize. Nope, that's not the right word. I can't remember it now. It's in my video. You should watch that one so you can learn all about it. But it actually helps to enhance the flavor of your beverage. So they make all sorts of different cups, from wine glasses to mugs like this, to they have some very Washingtonian or Colorado style of mugs as well. And for those of you who don't get that, you will once you see it. But they are fantastic cups and things to have around your house. And especially if you are somebody who's looking to reduce your carbon footprint, I would highly suggest these mugs and cups. They're very fun to have. Oh, man. All right. Let's see. Where else can I color on this? Does anybody know how many Land Before Time movies there are? Like, I know they got up to like 7 or 8, but did they go further than that? Were they still good at that point? Like, I remember like the Land Before Time 2 and the Land Before Time 3, because I think that's where the T-Rex comes in. But I don't think I watched much past that. So I would love to hear what happened as the Land Before Time continued. Mm-hmm. Takes a lot of focus. Coloring in all these spots on the Triceratops. I I think I might change the color of the spots when I do the face of the Triceratops. I can just start now. I'm changing color. As we get ready to close out our time together today. Ooh, there's a pink. Yep, I'm going with this pink. It's much easier because of the fact that the tip is much smaller. I mean, it's kind of just an obvious thing, but it is kind of nice. Do any of you have favorite drawings or things that you like to color? Like, are you an animal person? Do you like to color abstract things? Do you like to color just scenes? Do you wish that you had like a Thomas Kincaid coloring book so you could just color all sorts of things like that? Or I wonder if somebody will know this. There are probably like Norman Rockwell coloring pages out there too. Those might be fun, especially if you did them in like Andy Warhol style of coloring. All right, one more color before we go. Ooh. Light blue. One of my other favorite colors. Right, we forgot about the caterpillar over here. There. Do one of these. Actually, you could probably just, yeah, that's probably good. All right, folks. Well, it is 4 o'clock. I thank you so much for tuning in. For those of you who came in and dropped in today on the live stream itself, I will have this posted to my page also, so you can find it there. My coloring is coming along well. I'll probably continue to color this one next week. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you all have a great Wednesday and a great rest of your week. Remember to let the spirit of love go with you wherever you're at, and enjoy your coffee.